like I said, man, that it should have been started from the 80s when it was really going down. That's when it really started beginning. You know what I'm saying? We was out here boxing. They didn't go into detail how the original beef that started. You know what I'm saying? How this all became. You know what I'm saying? Because if Wise was still here, Nut would still be alive. You know what I'm saying? Then everybody else was getting killed for no reason. You know what I'm saying? Everybody else got killed for nothing.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
I mean,
because it all was a chain. You know what I'm saying? It all leading from a chain. Wise got killed. They thought Nut killed Wise. They went chasing after Wise. I mean, Nut. They killed Nut. You know what I'm saying? They killed Nut. Now, they killed Homo because Homo was Nut Man.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Then T-Rock, he running around talking about he gonna do this and that. Come on, you can't run around and do that, baby, bro. That's where it really started, you know?
So what you think about Nut? I mean, how he gets himself mixed up in this? You think he got...
Because Nut was a troublemaker. That was my man, you know what I'm saying? But, they just didn't like Nut's style, that's all. Nut was my man, you know what I'm saying? I liked his style. Just got jealous of Nut, and Nut, it went down.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? There's a couple times I was with Nut. Me and Nut walking together and him, Wise come. They start, I'm in the middle, shoot, boom, boom, boom. I'm like, oh, man, all crazy. You know what I'm saying? But, I see Wise the next day. He's like, nah, man, I'm going to kill him. Like, come on, for what, baby, bro?
For him and Nut?
Yeah. Nut had beef with everybody, though, man. You know what I'm saying? Not just Wise. You know what I'm saying? World. That World really got into that because World and Wise World and Nut used to hang out all the time.
Right.
Before Wise got killed.
Right.
What's good, y'all? What's the numbers TV? It's your boy Paul Rowe. Make sure you subscribe to the channel if you're not subscribed already, and like a video if you appreciate the content that Paul Rowe and What's the Numbers I provided. Today we back on the profile piece. This one is on Nut from LG. In this video we're going to talk about his early years growing up in Brooklyn. After that we'll look at his reputation and well-known name in the streets for various activities. Then we'll focus on his many relationships, both business and personal, that he had with multiple people in the music industry, before finally breaking down the situation surrounding his death. Ivory Nut Davis is from Brooklyn, New York. Growing up in the Lafayette Gardens project, better known as LG, Nut would be exposed to a lot from a young age. He would attend local neighborhood schools like PS 117, but rather than selling the books, Nut instead focused more on the streets from an early age. People like Punch and Bush, along with a few others, were the older well-known street figures in the project at the time, while Nut was just up and coming. As time passed, Nut would eventually start to come into his own after getting his feet wet in the streets and juvenile system a bit. Some people call Nut a troublemaker / stick-up kid turned hustler, who was nice with his hands and had lots of time to practice during his many stints in prison from a juvenile to an adult. He had a rivalry with a drug dealer named Myron Wise Hardy, who was also from the projects. Wise got money and got busy just like Nut, and he also had a younger brother named World. People from the neighborhood say at one point all three were cool with each other, but as time passed, Nut and Wise became jealous of one another as they competed for top dog status in the projects. Although Nut got a lot of his money out of town and had spots outside of the hood to lay his head, he would always return to LG, the place he considered home. But eventually things started to get a little tricky for Nut and his crew in the projects, as his disputes with Wise started getting a little more serious. Besides the street element of Nut's life, he also had an entertainment and music business that he was a part of. He was the owner of Yo-Yo Records, a small rap label that was trying to get his feet wet in the industry. He was also in the Junior Mafia video for the song Get Money, where it shows him getting a lot of attention from the female rapper Lil' Kim. It was rumored that Nut was in some type of relationship with Lil' Kim at the time. During this time, Nut was also a regular at every poppin' nightclub in the city. But for some reason, wherever Nut went, some type of trouble followed him, as cops got records of him getting shot 3 different times at clubs around the city. Some say it was all he did in the streets that would catch up to him. Some say it was haters mad at a young black man getting money. But whatever it was, it seemed that Nut liked to be the sense of attention, whether good or bad. In 1999, Myron Wise Hardy would be shot and killed in Lafayette Gardens, allegedly by a man named Ramel Davis, who was the nephew of Nut. This murder of someone so important to the projects and his crew, who were known as the CMB, turned Bed-Stuy into a war zone, with bodies dropping left and right. Authorities say Damian Hardy, the new leader of the CMB and Wise's younger brother, would from his prison cell direct his gang members to exact revenge and ordered them to murder Darryl Baum, who was another well-known street figure known as Homo, James Hamilton, and Nut, with Tyrone Baum, who was Homo's brother, also losing his life at the orders of World. Now how and when all these murders took place is all public information, as snitches in World's case told it all. But that's to be broken down in World's upcoming profile piece. But the details surrounding Nut's death are gruesome and sad, as an innocent person lost their life along with Nut that night. The story that came out was that in August of 2000, Nut was parked in his Range Rover just after 4 a.m. outside a rap hotspot called Club Envy. While he was sitting there, a gunman walked up and fired 4 shots, hitting Nut in the back twice, police said. Mortally wounded, Nut hit the gas and sped wildly down the street for 2 blocks, where he hit 38-year-old Joan Commits as he was crossing the street. Nut's truck then hit a light post and smashed into vacant tables outside a restaurant, where it turned over and Nut died. Joan Commits, who was a video director that won an MTV award for his work, was taken to St. Vincent's Hospital, where he later died also. Ivory Nut Davis was just 27 years old at the time. But yo, it's What's the Numbers TV. There's a quick profile piece on Nut Peanut from LG, real name Ivory Davis. Now, I know a lot of y'all probably asking, like, with dudes dying around him, why he was out that night. I don't know, because supposedly some murder. I think Homo might have been a week before, a few weeks before, something like that. Then JR. It was a lot of things going on. I'm going to break that down in a different profile piece, the timeline of the murders. But I don't know, maybe he was just, low and he felt like popping out. He felt like he was in the city because Club Envy was in the city. Maybe he thought he was safe down there. I don't know, but he got caught slipping. They killed him. Now, from Wise dying in 99, I think Tyrone Bomb, Homo brother, got killed in 03, but Homo, Nut, Jay, they all got killed in the same year, I think 2000. So it was like a lot, allegedly. All these was at the Order in the World, who was Wise's brother. World is doing a bunch of time right now. The CMB was his crew, Cash Money Brothers. And they had LG on Smash. It was moving around the industry. Now, come to find out later on, World ended up having his own relationship with Little Kim. Nut was in the video with Kim, and then later on, World had his relationship with Little Kim. And it was a lot going on back then. Nut was in the industry somewhat, moving around. They got pictures of him with Big. He was messing around with Junior Mafia. Through the Kim relationship. He's from Bed-Stuy. He was out there. People knew who he was. He was getting money, that's for sure. Everybody said he was getting money. Had spots here, had spots out of town. Was in the projects doing his thing before that whole thing blew up with the beef and all, and he had to move around. But everybody said he was been going out of town. They said back in his younger years that was a bully. But he held who he held down. He liked who he liked. But he was just a tough guy, basically a Brooklyn tough guy doing around, robbing stuff, all that. Started getting money, and from there, but he was still involved in a lot of drama, a lot of bullshit in the streets. So that's what happened. He ended up losing his life. Now, there was conflicting stories about the Nut and Wise beef and Wise's death. Some say they was cool. They just had a friendly competition. Some say they were shooting at each other from young. Some say it was like, beef that just turned ugly. Like in World and Nut used to be cool. They got pictures of them. They said before it really went crazy with Wise, Nut and World would be together here and there. But it was always like they was all competing with each other. They always wanted to be the best. They always wanted to stand out. To the point that they say that it was Nut's nephew or cousin, something that killed Wise, right? But people from LG are saying that Nut didn't have nothing to do with that. They said Nut, it happened on something else. Nut is his cousin, his relative, but he didn't have nothing to do with it. People said they told World about that. World said he wasn't trying to hear that. And he basically blamed Nut for the death of his brother, being that it was a family member that did that. But, all I can say is that it was wild times back then, late 90s, early 2000. And it was a lot of people getting money back then. There was a lot of drama in the streets, so it was just a turned up time. The clubs was crazy. That's when the Tunnel, Speed, Envy, all those spots, you would have said, like, it was real in the clubs. Them clubs felt like, you was going through the booking sometimes when you go in the club. Like, it was real. And if you type Nut's name on YouTube, you see a bunch of stories. Rappers speak about him. Nori talks about him. Jim Jones all these guys got stories about Nut. So it was just a different time, and he's definitely a New York City / Brooklyn legend. You can't take that away from him. He passed away in 2000, and Nut's name been living on for years. I heard his name for years. You understand what I'm saying? So he's definitely a New York City, Brooklyn legend. And I just want to say rest in peace. Even though he had a lot of dirt, they say that he done a lot of dirt in the streets. He still lost his life crazy. Somebody died. Another innocent victim passed away. And shout out to the Brooklyn boy, man. Rest in peace, Ivory Peanut Davis. And it's a profile piece for What's the Numbers TV. Subscribe to the channel. Follow the Instagram. And I'm out of here. Po Row. Peace.